Amen. Praise God. I'm not going to preach too long, but I do have a word, and I don't know if well, you can put it on Facebook. I don't know if it's being recorded or not, but I want to talk about family love. Family love. It is, and you may be seated. Smile as you do.
Hallelujah!
Yeah. Glory. I mean, did it again, brother. In fact, I was going to run the aisle. I felt that all the way through my soul. I might have to give him a Sunday off every once in a while, because so he get back here on a Wednesday night, I'm fired up, ready to go. Man, God bless you. You're blessing me. I want to talk about family, and I'm not going to make this long. I've said that 3 times. But some of this is touchy, because when you read it, it gets everybody nervous, especially the wives. But Colossians 3:18 says, "Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husband as it is fit in the Lord. Husbands, love your wives, and be not bitter against them. Children, obey your parents in all things, for this is well-pleasing unto the Lord. Fathers, provoke not your children to anger, lest they be discouraged." Paul, in 4 short verses, gives you the pattern for the Christian family. Now, that's the thumbnail sketch, okay? That's the cover of the volumes of books, because there's a lot in there. But I want to talk about the ingredient in a relationship, in all your relationships, especially the ones in the home. Love is the most powerful thing, the most powerful emotion you can have is one of love. It's stronger than fear. Now, I've been scared to death, but it passes usually pretty quick, especially when I grab a 45, you know. If I have my 9mm in the other hand, I'm not afraid at all. But love, I was sick for that girl. I didn't eat. I laid in my bed at night, couldn't sleep. I couldn't wait to go see her. Anybody been there? You've been in love where it just controlled you. And I have another video maybe in a week or 2 I want to show you, and it is hilarious, but it's great teaching from Because of the Times last year. And if you will learn to love in your home, it's a fine line when you say I love you, and you have to be careful, because it's easy to throw out there, I love you. I love you, brother. I love you, sister. God bless you. I love you. Because when you say I love, it carries a lot of weight. Okay. I love you, brother. I love you. 2 o'clock in the morning. Hey, I got a flat tire. Can you come get me? Well, I don't love you that much. That's why you got AAA, I hope. See what I'm saying? But my daughter, many times, run out of gas in the middle of the night and say, "Dad, I'm out of gas." And all I said is, "Where are you at? Lock your doors. Just tell me where you're at." I kept a gallon can in the garage full of gas all the time. And I would run out there and fill it up, and away she'd go. When you love, you can't love with your lips. You have to love in deed. I'm going to be a little transparent. I'll use my wife and I know she don't like this, but you know, when you have to use an example, I don't know of any better example than personal relationships that you have, so that you can express that to people and they can ask you questions about it. Don't ask me how it is to fly a 747. I've never been in the cockpit of one. Don't ask me how it is to parachute out of a plane. Why would you jump out of a perfectly good plane? I can't understand that. But if you ask me how is it to be married for 30 years, well, I can answer that one. Love in your home is telling the world about the love of God. If you don't love in your home, don't go out on a street corner and tell people that you love God. Because they're going to come to your house, or they're going to meet you and your spouse somewhere, and they're going to know, wait a minute, that's not the love of God. Now, I know it sounds a little tough, but I'm getting past it, okay? When you learn to love your spouse, love is work. Matter of fact, there's two things that are very difficult to do. And sometimes one of them we talk about, and we all know it's tough. The second one we talk about, and everybody says, well, no, I can do that. It's easy. The hardest thing you'll ever do is live for God. The second hardest thing you'll ever do is stay married to one person your entire life. Those are the two. Though, if you wrap all the hard things there is together, those two are the hardest. You know why? Because there's no end to them. I can climb Mount Everest, but I get to the top, and I'm at the top. Now I'm going down the other side. It's a lifetime event, but it's over in a week. But when I say I love somebody at an altar, it's forever. When I stand before the Lord and say, Lord, I love you. I take on His name in baptism. He fills me with His Spirit. This isn't just a one-time experience. Come and love Jesus and then go away. That's not how it works. Because love is a relationship. And it takes hard work. I have been married for 32 years. I love my wife to death. And I know now, hindsight, the commitment it takes to love somebody that much. She's loved me. When I had my stroke and I was laying there in the bed and couldn't move my side, and you know where she was at? Right here. Me and her had a whole conversation. We didn't even talk to each other. We were just looking back and forth, and this lady trying to do therapy on my arm, and she goes, you guys are talking, aren't you? And I said, yeah. I smiled, she smiled, I cried, she cried. She'd nod her head, I'd wave my head. What's going on? We're talking. That's our love. Because that love is stronger than the condition we find ourselves in at the moment. Marriages end because they get to a moment, and for some reason they decide, I can't love past this point. I'm drawing the line in the sand, and I can't love past that point. Jesus went all the way to a cross to tell us how much He's willing to love. He said, some would die for a good man. Peradventure, someone even would die for somebody, that was a bad man. But Christ, when you were in your sin, Christ died for you. When you were at your ugliest, when you were denying Him, when you were wicked, He died for you. You know why? Because He had a love that endured. He was willing to go the distance. He was willing to take on the commitment to love all the way through to the end. There is no magic secret to marriage. There's not. I'll give you a few pointers. Husbands, my pastor had a little picture at his church, at the church, or I don't remember where I seen it. It was either in his office or somewhere. And it was two beautifully green pastures. You all have seen it probably. Two beautifully green pastures with a barbed wire fence going right down the middle. And there was this big old cow in this pasture, and there was a big old cow in this pasture. And this cow in this pasture had his head through this big old barbed wire fence, where you can see the barbed wires poking him in the neck, and he's eating the grass in the other pasture. Then the cow that was in this pasture had his head through the barbed wire fence, and he was eating the grass in that pasture. You know why? Because our nature always wants something that we don't have, even though what we have is as good as what we want. My pastor used to say this, he used to crack me up every time. He says, all you guys want is some greener grass. You just want that grass greener. He said, buy yourself a bag of fertilizer and get a hose. And that grass will green right up. That's just common sense, isn't it? My pastor is full of common sense. It's how you look at your circumstances. My wife and I have had tough times. We raised 2 teenagers. You're all there. I had black hair when I got married. And it was going good. And then somebody turned 13 and like Snow White. But when you get through all those obstacles, how many's had a car repo? I have. 2,000. Bought more than I could chew. I've never gone bankrupt. I owed a pile of money, and I made payments until it was paid. I've never been evicted, but I've been close. I wrote checks for the rent, hoping I could get the money in there by the time the check went through. And back in the day, it took 5 days. So nowadays, you write a check, it better be good, because they just take a picture of that thing and it goes to the bank. You know what I'm saying? But back in the day, it took 5 days. When you go through these hard times in your relationships, they build your relationship. It's not tearing your relationship down. Don't worry about you and your husband bickering all the time. Friend, if you're married, you're going to bicker a little bit. You're 2 individual people. She likes it hot, you like it cold. We sleep with a fan going, with the heater on 67 degrees, with 18 blankets on our bed. And at some point in the middle of the night, they all get kicked out. I have something that's called what do I call it? My coping blanket. I sleep with a coping blanket. You know why? It's better than sleeping in another bed. Because in the middle of the night, she has a hot flash, and I can sit there and roast weenies. Because I can feel the heat radiating on me. And all of a sudden, the blankets go, whoa. And then I got the fan blowing on me. I woken up in the middle of the night so cold I had hypothermia. I had to go run a hot bathtub to warm myself up to stop showering. And she thought, what's wrong with you? I said, I've been in that bed for 30 minutes. I'm about to freeze to death. I couldn't even, You know what? You know what that is? That's me learning to deal. I'm coping with her situation by providing myself a blanket. But we still sleep in the same bed. You have to get through the hard times to enjoy the story. Me and her go at each other. We were just talking last night. Me and her were watching that episode of Downton Abbey. Have you ever watched that? Every so often one comes on, I watch it, and somebody dies, and I just tell my wife, that's it, I'll never watch another one. And a couple of weeks later, we'll pop one in to watch it. And some of them they're really good. There's no cussing and nothing in it. But they're very emotional. And me and her will be watching this something about marriage or this tender moment with these kids, and she's looking over at me, and I'm looking at her, and I'm like, and then we look at each other and laugh. We hug each other. Last night I was on the little sofa and she was right next to me in a blanket around us. We were just watching it. You know what we were doing? We were getting through the hard times. How? By making some good times. And we'll remember the good times next time we're going through the hard times. 1 Peter 3:7 says, likewise ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge. You know what knowledge is? Happy wife, happy life. You have to look out in your relationship at home with your family, for your family. Believe me, there ain't nobody. My kids will tell you, my daughter will tell me, I used to get so mad my head, the sides of my head would bulge. What? It's just like bulging, like charged and clench. And when I got really mad and I started screaming, I would spit at her. My wife and I did not fight in front of the kids. That was just policy in our house. But doggone, I'd unload on them kids. But we kept our fighting to ourselves. You know why? We both came from broken homes. We didn't ever want to give them kids any idea that there was anything going to happen in our life. Did we think about it every once in a while? Did I look at her and say, man, she don't like me anymore? Probably. But we had good times to get us through the hard times. Our love is continual. See, God doesn't gauge you from mountaintop to mountaintop. He knows there's going to be a valley. He knows there's going to be a low time and you're not feeling it. You're coming to church just out of dedication and consecration. I'm here. I don't feel nothing. I don't even want to be around these people. I don't want to be in his presence. But I'm committed. I made a commitment. Sometimes you come home and you've had it. That you can't pay the bills and you can't make her happy and the kids are screaming and the dog just peed on your new pair of shoes and all you want to think is I could get me a 30-foot RV and live somewhere in peace and love it. But then you remember, I made a commitment. If you would just learn to get through the hard times, love will carry you into the good times. Amen. And then after you get through a few things, you know, my wife and I, we don't have these big old knockdown drag-outs anymore. We don't use the D word in our house. There's just no use for it. I don't cuss at my wife. One time, years ago, we had just got married, and I was just playing. But we had just been swimming, we were changing our clothes, and I reached over there and just smacked her on her backside really hard. But I'm a guy, you know, it wasn't hard to me. It was kind of like this. You know what I mean? I was just playing. My brother's 6'4" and 280 pounds. You know, you had to hit him that hard just so he knew he got hit. She come unglued. What have I done? You know what that taught me? She's not a punching bag. Ain't no reason to hit anybody in your house. She is a child of God, man. I'm talking to the men right now. She is a child of God as much as you are. And you go to touching that part of your life, God's going to look on you pretty tough. You go ahead and bump her around a little bit. God will take care of you, friend. There's some things in your life that you have to get through. You get through. Now, you know, she's hit me a few times. Not many. She may have hit me and I was so mad I didn't feel it. You know what I mean? But I look silly in front of the judge. They'd look at her and they'd look at me. You hit her? Bailiff, take them away. Really? You had to hit her? I'm trying to make this light, but I want to make a point. You got to have love in your home, and it takes you being committed no matter what. It's not always going to be fun and games and having a good time. It can't be. You'll never grow. You'll never learn to deal with stuff. God puts stuff in your life to teach you to control yourself. Self-control is love. And God will put it on you until you learn to control yourself. And when you learn to control yourself, you realize you'll have a lot better time. You know, sometimes my wife, she says something and I want to go, ah! And I just stick that tongue out. And sometimes I don't. And every once in a while I'll say something and I'll realize it hurt her. You know what? I'm just not going there. It's not worth it. I love her. I hope I'm saying something that's helping you. It's Valentine's Day in a couple of days. It's a worldly celebration. But you know what? We need to talk about love every once in a while. And it's got to start in the home. In the home. 2 Timothy 2:1. This is, I put it in a newer version, but there's about 6 verses here I want to read. 5 of them. Maybe 6 or 7. But listen to it carefully, okay? But as for you, this is Paul writing a letter to Titus, and he's given some instruction in the family. He said, but as for you, teach what accords with sound doctrine. So he's telling, what I'm fixing to read to you is sound doctrine. Teach this as sound doctrine. Older men are to be sober-minded, dignified, self-controlled, sound in the faith, in love, and in steadfastness. Wow. Older men. Everybody that's over 17, raise your hand. All the men, you're an older man. I lower the age limit. Older women, everybody, all the women over 17. Older women, likewise, are to be reverent in behavior, not slanderers or slaves to much wine. They are to teach what is good, and so train the young women to love their husbands and children, to be self-controlled, pure, working at home, kind, and submissive to their own husbands. You know what? Don't come in and tell my wife nothing. She's my wife. You want to tell some woman something? Go find your wife or some other woman. Don't tell my wife. But you're going to deal with me. The only one that tells her is me. If that offends you, you'll have to grow up and get over it. Cecil, I don't tell Beverly nothing because she's your wife. I'm just getting that clear so we all know how to treat each other in the house of God, because this is God's family. And we don't talk to each other in any manner other than love. And if you've got a problem with somebody in this church, you bite your tongue and you come to me. And we'll pray about it and make sure it is a problem. And if there's a slight chance that there is a problem with the other person, I'll go talk with them. Right. 9 times out of 10, it's me. I'm the one offended. What am I talking about? Love. This is love. You know what? Love is tough. You love your kid so much, if he tries to run out in the street 2 or 3 times, you're going to get the belt out. And you're going to love on him. Y'all with me? Likewise, urge the younger men to be self-controlled. Every once in a while, I'm going to tell you a little story. I'm almost done. I'm going to tell you a little story. I'm ratting myself out, so I'm telling you these things and using me for the example so you know your pastor's not perfect. Because I made mistakes too. But I'm going to tell you what the pastor did. My pastor. I had just got a 1986 Ford Ranger with a V6 and a 5-speed. We had a work day at the church. They needed some parts. All the men are out digging this footing for a new building. And they say, Brother Monroe, you need to run to the store and get some parts. I was 17. I was so excited. I got in that truck. And I laid rubber from one end of that parking lot all the way out to the street. And I thought, I shoved down. I shifted. I come rolling in with the parts. And there's the man of God. And friend, he lit into me like you can't believe. He said, what if you had hit one of these kids out here, Matt? Boy, he tore me up. All the guys are standing over there shouting. This is 40 people at my church. Some of my friends, most of my elders, just looking at me. Dummy. Get him, Pastor. You know what I did? I took it. Because I was wrong. And when I left the parking lot, it never left first gear. Beep, 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 beep. You know why? Because when we're young, we don't have self-control. We need somebody to put a little grip on us. So a pastor comes along and says something to you that offends you. It's just me loving on you. Hey, don't do that. We got to look out for each other. If I ever come screaming out of the parking lot at you, yelling you're going too fast, I'm not being an idiot. I'm watching out for my grandchildren and your grandchildren. What am I doing? I'm loving on you. Why? Because we have to learn to love even when it's hard. Hard. Difficult. I'm almost done here. Show yourself in all respects. This is speaking of young men. Show yourself in all respects to be a model of good works. And in your teaching, show integrity and dignity. And sound speech that cannot be condemned, so that an opponent may be put to shame, having nothing evil to say about you. You know, it starts in the home, but love comes to the church, because people from the world come in here to see what God is doing. And if they can't see that God is changing any of us, that we're no different than them, then we don't have the love of God in us, because God's not moving in us. I know when I'm around somebody that's godly. I can feel it. I can see it. I know when I'm around somebody with self-control. I love when a man gets the door for a woman. There ain't nothing wrong with that. I love to see a man get get his wife a little plate and bring it over to the table and go get her something to drink. Why? You're showing everybody around you how to love somebody. I'm wrapping it up. Y'all with me? You know, Pastor ain't mad at all. But I'm dealing with some things. The world right now is going crazy. They say love is all about sex and boozing and having a good time. We're going to go out and party all weekend. Friend, that's not love. You're destroying yourself. You're just destroying yourself. Love is finding God's favor in your life and learning to overcome the things that are difficult. Love is tough. It's difficult. I remember coming home, I'd work 12, 14 hours and I smelled like a sewer. Walk in the door, go to kiss my wife and she'd be like this. You know why? Because I'm filthy. But she still wanted a kiss. And then she'd say, take all your clothes off. Don't throw them away. I want you to, but don't throw them away. Put them in a pot and then get in the shower. Love is loving through the hard times, the difficult times. It's when the relationship is not good. We're not right. We're going through a hard time. I don't know what it is. Financially, your kids, physically, something is tough. But when you learn to get through that love, God blesses you on the other side with a spirit of love. His love comes in. And I'm telling you what, we had so much fun last night sitting on that little couch, just sitting together. It was like we were teenagers again. I'm not bragging. And I'm not perfect, she'll tell you. But if you want to stay married, if you want this church to be healthy families, healthy church. When we learn to love each other at home, we bring that love to church. Why do you think the pastor says smile all the time? Why do you think the pastor will shake somebody's hand and smile? Tell them you love them. You know why? I want you to get out of your circle. It's just us four, no more. It's not just about how you feel and what you think and what feels good to you. You need to learn to love other people. So when they come through the back door and they're broken and they're ashamed and they're bawling their eyes out and they have no hope and they come to an altar, you're not afraid to touch them. You're not afraid to reach out to them and love them and put your hand out and give them a hug and say, it's all right. Jesus is here. He loves you and he's going to help you.
Right. Yeah, man.
When you love through the hard times and when the hard things come and you can still love. I feel the Holy Ghost in there. This world has wishful thinking love. Everything has to be perfect. Everything has to be beautiful. Everything has to be great. You know what? No, it don't. Some of the times I felt the greatest love is when I was the most broken. Cecil, you didn't know I was going to preach this. But when that little boy crawled up in your lap, that was God saying, don't worry about this boy, I love you. You ever had somebody you're at the altar praying and you're thinking, God, just send somebody to pray for me. Just somebody to hug me, and then you feel this arm come around you. And you hear those words, Jesus, touch my brother. I've been at the altar broken, had circumstances in my life beyond my control, and I'm down there I couldn't break through, and then I'd have a brother come up behind me, and I could feel the hot tears falling off his face and hit me in the back of the head, and he was bawling and squalling, and I'm telling you what, he was getting a hold of God, and I could feel the love of God. The greatest love I ever had was a challenge I went through as a 19-year-old young man, thinking God didn't love me, and I was done with church. I hadn't felt God for 30 days. I lost 35 pounds in 30 days because I couldn't eat nothing. And I'm at the altar and I didn't feel nothing. I put my hands down and Sister Price was praying in the Spirit. She walked over to me and put her hand on me and she says, Matthew, I've seen you in heavenly places. And friend, it was a tidal wave. It knocked me to my knees. It was something that was so overwhelming that all the condemnation of fear flushed out and I knew God loved me again. But it came through the touch of another person that knew how to love. Let's stand. Oh, that we would learn how to love. We need family love around here. Family love. I want to love you like my brother and sister, and I want you to love me like your brother and sister. I want you to feel safe. I want you to feel safe that your kids are safe. I want you to know that I would lay my life down for your kids. struggles and health. And I laid at home praying, crying, God, touch them right now. Bind them up, give them strength. There's nothing like when somebody genuinely loves you and they send you a text during the day, just thinking about you. Love you. That's so powerful. I had Brad over, y'all know Brad, called me, FaceTime today at work. And he goes, I just want to see your face. Man, I got all choked up. He's driving a little Toyota, smile at me. I just want to see your face. I was like, God. All right, give me a minute. I'll get back to you. What is that? That's the love of God. But it comes through us. He chose us to love people. I feel God. I feel His power. But it ain't nothing like when somebody's praying for me. Amen. Let's close our eyes. Let's just pray for a moment. Jesus, we thank you, my King, for your great word. The word that tells us how much you love us, how much you care. Lord, how devoted you are to us. Lord, this is a long-term relationship. Lord, we're committed. This is our life. This is who we are. We're content in all the things that you give us, oh God. I'm thankful for everything that you've done. God, I pray let a spirit of love sweep through this body. Make this body an extension of your hands, oh God. That whoever they would touch, whoever they would speak to, whoever they would have an interaction with, that they would feel the love of God. Lord, help us to reach out beyond our walls, beyond our situation, beyond the circumstances that are plaguing us in this life, and help us to love through them, God. Make us strong in love. Make us powerful in love. Help us to endure through love, Jesus. God, we'll thank you, give you glory and praise. Let's worship just for a moment. Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Amen. It's only 7:45. Jesus, bless all the sweets back there. Don't let's go into diabetic coma. Let's enjoy this fellowship in Jesus' beautiful name. Amen. Encourage somebody today in the Lord.